So we now now continue with the chapter ammonia, and we have seen the laboratory preparation of ammonia. Now we come to the manufacturing process of ammonia. So ammonia is a compound which is used largely in many industries. So that is why we need to also know that how is ammonia manufactured on a large scale. So if I want to manufacture the ammonia on a large scale, then what is the different processes which is required for this particular kind of manufacturing. Now the manufacturing process of ammonia is given by a process named Haber's process. So it is Haber's process. So the Haber's process is the method of manufacturing ammonia on a large scale. So in this particular thing, what we are going to have will be, there will be three chambers, or we can see three conditions or three parts. That there will be one which will be there will be something which is called as A will be compression pump. The next will be, it is going to pass through another chamber over here. Now that chamber is called as electrically heated catalytic chamber. So it will be a catalytic chamber, and then it goes to a condenser. So the next one is the condenser, or we can say the cooling tower. So condenser or cooling area. So that is the three parts: cooling pipes, or condenser with cooling pipes. So this is A, B and C. These are the three different stages through which the process is going to take place. Now firstly we see that the raw material to be used will be, of course, nitrogen and hydrogen. So nitrogen and hydrogen, that will be dry nitrogen and dry hydrogen, are going to be taken in the ratio. So they are going to be taken in the ratio of 1 volume is 3 volumes. So 1 volume of this and 3 volumes of this is taken in as the raw material, and then this nitrogen hydrogen are made to pass through a compression pump. यानी क्या किया, दो पाइप लिया, दो एक में से नाइट्रोजन पास किया 1 volume and 3 volumes of hydrogen is taken and it is made to pass through a compression pump. Compression pump क्या करेगा, उनको compress करेगा so that the miscibility is more, and then it is made to pass into the electrically charged catalytic chamber. So catalytic chamber में क्या होगा, the reaction is going to take place that N2 plus H2 will give me NH3. So it's going to give me NH3. This is exactly what is the reaction which is going to take place. So N2 plus H2 is going to be NH3, where this will be a 3 over here and 2 over here. So this is what is the reaction which is going to take place in this particular part. Okay, so here it is so it is this way, that this N2 plus H2 both are going to come into this particular part which are already in the compressed form, and then these N2 and H2 are going to made to pass through this particular thing again. After that in the cooling area में आएगा. On cooling, a part of it will be given out as NH3, but it is not necessary that the complete thing is going to fuse together to give you NH3. There will be certain part of the nitrogen and certain part of hydrogen which will be uncombined. Okay, they will be, which is not combined completely. That particular part is going to be taken and it is going to be sent again into this particular chamber. See, we cannot lose the nitrogen and hydrogen which we have used over here. ऐसा समझो, the outcome over here is, it is, if you see the initial stage में, when you go for this particular thing, the yield is very low. Okay, but to increase the yield, what we do, whatever nitrogen hydrogen which is not combined over here is going to be taken and pushed back into the compressor pump. So in the compression pump, you are going to get that thing again, so that it goes through the process again, so that we are not wasting the nitrogen and hydrogen which we are taking as the raw material. So that is the main part about this thing. Let's go through the first thing. So nitrogen reacts with hydrogen under specific conditions, liberating ammonia. So we have got nitrogen 1 volume and hydrogen 3 volumes to give you 2 volumes of ammonia. And it is also going to be exothermic, so it is going to give you a good amount of heat also. So it will be plus heat which will be there. So reactants are nitrogen hydrogen in the ratio 1:3 by volume. Product is ammonia 2 volumes. The reaction is reversible, so that's why the moment you are releasing the pressure, there is a full chances that the ammonia फिर से बन जाएगा nitrogen and hydrogen. So it is reversible, it is exothermic. So this reaction is reversible, it is exothermic, it is giving out a good amount of heat also, and proceeds with a decrease in its volume. There after this thing, the volume is going to decrease drastically. And low temperatures and high pressures are favored for a forward reaction. So to have this reaction, best thing is you are going to use low temperatures, but that low is also not that low. The temperature is as high as around 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. So here it is around 450 to 500 degrees Celsius, and the high pressure, the pressure is 200 to 900 atmosphere. So that's a huge pressure. Okay, 200 to 900 atmospheric pressure is a huge pressure. So under that particular high temperature, but of course they don't call this as high temperature, they call it as a low temperature, because the pressure accordingly is very high. Because compared to the pressure, the temperature is low. That's why taking low temperature and high pressure is used to get the best yield over here. So we see that temperature is 450 to 500 optimum temperature, and 200 to 900 atmosphere is the optimum pressure. The catalyst over here is finely divided. So catalyst over here, this is the catalyst which is over here, is finely divided iron. So iron Fe finely divided. So we are going to have a very fine powder of iron, and we have got a promoter also. So the promoter is the one. So what is the promoter? It is something which supports the catalyst, okay, which is helping the catalyst is the promoter. Promoter is molybdenum, MO. Molybdenum is the promoter. So the catalyst is iron oxide Fe2O3. This is the one. So we call it as Fe2O3 is the catalyst, and the iron oxide Fe2O3 may also be used containing the promoter, about 1% K2O or Al2O3. So okay, you can use this one with the promoter as K2O and some part of Al2O3. This is another option. So this is another option. This is the first option, taking the catalyst as finely divided iron and molybdenum as the promoter. You learn that only, that's more sufficient for that. Precautions: impurities like CO, CO2 and H2S may poison the catalyst. Hence the hydrogen and nitrogen reactant mixture must be free from that. So we cannot just use any hydrogen and nitrogen. We need to see to it that it does not contain too many impurities in it, because if you are using something which can give out as an outcome as carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide or hydrogen sulfide, then it is going to poison the catalyst. It is going to be reacting with the catalyst and poison it. So basically it is going to make that catalyst bad. So it will be a waste of money. So because of some small impurity, this will become a waste. That's the reason we normally see to it that nitrogen and hydrogen what we are using is free from the impurities, so that carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfides are not formed. So this was about the main part. Now we come to the detailed part of this Haber's process. So as we see now, whenever you are asked to draw the diagram for the Haber's process, you will draw this diagram. Okay, you are not going to draw the diagram which was earlier. This particular part is not important, it is just for your understanding, but otherwise you are going to draw only this figure over here as the main thing. So what learning point of view also, this thing over here is sufficient enough, and then the final thing over here is the yeah, that is the temperature. Yeah, okay, that is the first page. So this first page itself is sufficient to learn, because the procedure is never asked. They ask you only the certain salient points of that particular process. So we see over here, first one, process wise. For A is the compression pump, mixture of N2 and N2 are in the ratio 1:3, is compressed to 200 to 900 atmospheric pressure. So the compression pump, what it does is generates this pressure of 200 to 900 atmospheric pressure. This is the job of this thing. So here what we actually get is the pressure of 200 to 900 atmosphere. So this is the pressure what we are getting over here, and this is the heating chamber where you get the temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. So that was the step. So first one is this one. Next is electrically heated catalytic chamber. So this is electrically heated catalytic chamber. The nitrogen hydrogen compressed mixture is passed over heated catalyst having a heat exchanger. So there is a catalyst as well as there is a heat exchanger. What is a heat exchanger? There are pipes going through which the heating is taking place, through this gas is going on, and outside area is heated. So there is exchange of heat taking place between the gas and the outside part. So that's why it is called as a heat exchanger. The mixture of ammonia formed along with residual nitrogen-hydrogen exchange their heat with the incoming unreacted nitrogen and hydrogen mixture. So here what is going to happen is you are going to get ammonia, which is going to give you a good amount of heat also, and that heat is going to be given to the unreacted nitrogen hydrogen, which is entering into the heating chamber. Condenser, mixture of NH3 along with residual nitrogen hydrogen under pressure is allowed to expand suddenly through a small nozzle into the region of low pressure. So here, because they are already under high pressure, they are now made to go through a nozzle which will lower down the pressure. On lowering down the pressure, automatically it is going to condense. So in low region of low pressure, this results in the fall of temperature, thereby liquefying the ammonia which is collected at the base. So that's it, we are just cooling it, which is collected by the unreacted nitrogen and hydrogen is recycled through the catalytic chamber. From here it is going to be recycled into the, so we can say directly not from there, but we can take it from here. We are taking the unreacted, so N2 plus H2 unreacted. Okay, the unreacted nitrogen hydrogen will be transferred from here to here in this particular case. So let's see in detail reactants. In the production of ammonia, Haber's process, the reactant nitrogen and hydrogen in the ratio 1:3 by volume are first placed in the catalytic chamber. The reactant nitrogen gas is obtained by fractional distillation of liquid air. The reactant hydrogen is obtained from water gas, that is Bosch process. The higher ratio of hydrogen or an increase in the concentration of the reactants favors the forward reaction to give optimum yield of ammonia. So there is a slightly increase or volume of hydrogen which you are using. The reactant should be free from impurities, pure and dry, since impurities tend to poison the catalyst and reduce its effectiveness. Temperature, optimum temperature is 450 to 500 degrees Celsius is used in the Haber's process. Reaction is exothermic if it is favored higher percent yield of ammonia by lowering the temperature. So if you reduce the temperature a bit, it is favored as per a new principle of Le-Chatelier. However, if the temperature is low, the speed of the reaction is slow and the yield of ammonia is low. Hence, an optimum temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius is used in the above process. Above this temperature, the ammonia may decompose to give you nitrogen and hydrogen. So that's why what we are doing is that we are keeping an optimum temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius so that neither the process is slow nor the process is so high, then it is not going to decompose again into nitrogen and hydrogen. So that's why we are keeping the temperature optimum at 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. External heating is therefore not required after reaction after initial heating, since the reaction is exothermic. The evolved heat further maintains the temperature. So you don't need to give any additional kind of a heat later on. Initially जो electrical heater को जो heat दिया है, that is going to continue the process of heating the nitrogen hydrogen mixture, because it is an exothermic reaction. Pressure wise, an optimum pressure of 200 to 900 atmosphere is used during the process. If a reaction proceeds with decrease in volume, that is 2 volumes of nitrogen, then the forward reaction is favored by increasing the pressure. So if 1 volume of nitrogen, 3 volumes of hydrogen will give you 2 volumes of nitrogen, ammonia, then the forward reaction favored by increasing the pressure. So if you increase the pressure by keeping this in the ratio 1:3, you are able to increase the pressure. However, if the pressure is too high, the production plant may not withstand the pressure, hence the optimum pressure of 200 to 900 is used. So yeah, higher the pressure, it is going to give higher the yield, but if the pressure is too high, there are chances of the plant, that is the equipments, not be able to withstand that much pressure and create problems. So that's why we keep an optimum pressure of 200 to 900 atmosphere. A catalyst is required to accelerate the reaction at optimum temperature. The catalyst used is finely divided iron. It is mixed with small amount of promoter molybdenum, which enhances the efficiency of the catalyst. So yeah, we are using the finely divided iron as the catalyst, and to enhance the properties of the catalyst, we are using a promoter, which is molybdenum. The catalyst also only accelerates the reaction and does not form a part of the reaction, hence it does not affect the percentage yield of ammonia. So catalyst is just going to see to it that the reaction is going to be accelerated, but it does not increase the yield of ammonia. जितना मैंने ये दिया, ये तो yield तो same रहेगा, but the only thing, it is going to make the thing faster. Ammonia is separated and recovered from the uncombined hydrogen atom by technique based on the physical properties of ammonia. Now we know that physical properties of ammonia tells us that ammonia is highly soluble in water, whereas nitrogen and hydrogen both are almost insoluble in water. So this particular method is one of the things by which we are separating the nitrogen, hydrogen, ammonia which was coming out from this particular chamber. And another thing is that ammonia is going to be easily liquefiable. You can easily liquefy ammonia at minus 33 degrees Celsius at a low pressure of 8 atmosphere. So whereas nitrogen, hydrogen are going to liquefy at a very, very low temperature, that is minus 100 something. So that's the reason we are going to be also having another option of, if I want pure ammonia, not ammonium hydroxide, if I don't want to add water to it and I want pure ammonia gas, then I may go for liquefaction instead of going for dissolving in water. So first one is liquefaction. Ammonia is easily liquefiable. It condenses to liquid at around minus 33 degrees Celsius at 8 atmospheric pressure. Nitrogen and hydrogen are difficult to liquefy. They condense at temperature around minus 196 degrees Celsius and 253 degrees Celsius respectively at a comparatively higher pressure. So nitrogen and hydrogen, to become liquids, they are going to take a temperature of minus 196 and minus 253. So no way it can get liquefied. Whereas ammonia at just minus 33 degrees Celsius is going to get liquefied, and it can easily be separated from the gases of nitrogen and hydrogen. Another option, dissolving in water. Ammonia is highly soluble in water. 1 volume water dissolves 702 volumes of ammonia at 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere, whereas nitrogen and hydrogen are almost insoluble in water. So that is another option. If I want the yield to be directly mixed with water, अगर मुझे ammonium hydroxide ही बनाना है, then I may not do the liquefaction process. I can directly go for the process of dissolving it in water. Ammonia gets easily dissolved in water, whereas nitrogen and hydrogen are not going to get dissolved. Accordingly, ammonia is automatically separated out from the mixture of nitrogen, hydrogen and ammonia. Hence, liquefaction and dissolution in water are two techniques used for separating ammonia from the uncombined nitrogen and hydrogen reactants mixture during Haber's process. So, yeah, these are the two methods by which we are able to separate out nitrogen and hydrogen in the Haber's process. Now, one more important thing which was there, if I know it is in given in concise, I suppose. So I'll just check that thing so that we are not missing on or something extra which is given over there. So one thing which was given in case of Haber's process is that the hot mixture which is coming out over here in the initial stage is only 15% efficiency. If I put over here, suppose I take 100 liters of nitrogen and hydrogen combined, I am going to get only 15 liters in the first stage. So the yield in the one stroke is not very high in case of Haber's process. You are going to get it in a very low amount of yield, and that is the reason, because only 15% yield is available in the first stroke. That's the reason the uncombined reactants of nitrogen and hydrogen are extremely high quantity. It is 85% of that thing. That means 100 kg मैंने 100 liters यहाँ पे डाला था, मुझे सिर्फ 15 liters ammonia मिला, बाकी का 85 is unreacted. So that needs to be put over here so that on moving this continuously, I can get a yield of 98%. So if I take 100% of nitrogen, 100 liters of nitrogen and hydrogen, initially I get only 15 liters of ammonia, but later on when I keep on reacting this again and again, I can get up to 98% of the result of ammonia. So that is what was extra given in the concise textbook, which I think I would better share with you right now over here. So that was about the laboratory preparation. Now we move on to the properties of ammonia. So in the properties of ammonia, we can see the first is the physical properties. So as for the physical properties is concerned, for first thing will be the color, odor and taste. So yeah, color, odor and taste. We have the color is colorless, the ammonia is colorless. Odor is a strong pungent smell. Yeah, ammonia has got a very strong pungent smell. So that is a strong pungent smell, and taste, right, is slightly alkaline taste, means bitter taste. So it will be slightly bitter taste, that is alkaline taste. Physical nature, non-poisonous. Yes, it is not at all poisonous, but if inhaled affects the respiratory system, it is fatal in large doses. If a large amount of ammonia is being inhaled by a person, then yes, it is fatal also, but otherwise it is just going to affect the respiratory system a bit if inhaled in a big quantity. Density wise, lighter than air. So vapor density 8.5 as compared to the vapor density of air 14.4. Solubility, highly soluble in water. 1 volume water dissolves about 702 volumes or 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure. And hence we have the fountain experiment here also. Yes, it is highly soluble in ammonia, and it demonstrates the fountain experiment. We'll just see in a next part. Liquefaction, highly liquefied at low temperature. So yes, it can be easily, sorry, not highly, easily liquefied at low temperature. So that was what we studied, that it minus boiling point is just minus 33.5 degrees Celsius. So liquid ammonia boils at minus 33.5 degrees Celsius, or we can say at minus 33.5 degrees Celsius the ammonia gas can be converted into liquid. And freezing point, solid ammonia melts at minus 77.7 degrees Celsius. So if you want to convert gas into solid, then at minus 77.7 degrees Celsius the gas can be converted into solid ammonia. As far as the next is the fountain experiment. The fountain experiment is concerned is exactly the same. You are going to have the flask completely filled with ammonia, and to this will be connected will be one particular rubber tubing, rubber pump, and then there will be this particular delivery tube like this, which is coming in down and goes into a trough of water, and this trough of water now will be having a red litmus solution. So it's a red litmus solution. Why? Because we know that ammonia is, this is NH3, so we know that ammonia is basic in nature, so red will turn blue. So on as soon as we press this bulb, there will be few drops of water entering inside, and when this water enters inside, ammonia is going to get absorbed over here. There will be a generation of a low pressure over here, and due to which the water is going to come inside and give out a blue colored fountain. So the fountain what we will be seeing over here in case of the ammonia gas will be a blue colored fountain, which was red colored in case of HCl. So this gives you two conclusions. One is ammonia is alkaline in nature, and secondly ammonia is highly soluble in water. So that is what we are given here. So observation wise, ammonia gas present in the flask dissolves in water due to high solubility, thereby creating a partial vacuum in the flask. The outside pressure being higher pushes the red litmus solution up the jet tube, which emerges out at the end of the tube as blue fountain. Ammonia gas is highly soluble in water and basic in nature. Since dry ammonia gas was present in the round bottom flask, the red litmus solution kept in the trough below emerged out of the blue fountain, since ammonia is basic. On the other hand, if dry HCl gas was used in the flask instead of ammonia, the blue litmus solution in the trough became below emerged out of the red fountain. So that was the difference between the type of fountain which was formed by HCl and ammonia. HCl gave you a red colored fountain from a blue litmus solution, and ammonia gives you a blue fountain from a lead litmus solution. Now we move on to the next thing, that is the chemical properties of ammonia. So ammonia gas is combustible. Combustibility wise, ammonia is neither combustible nor supports combustion. So combustibility wise, it is neither going to burn itself nor it is going to support combustion or nor combustible. So reaction with oxygen will be ammonia burns in atmosphere of oxygen and undergoes catalytic oxidation. So this is the thing what they are given over here, that if we are going to burn ammonia in oxygen, so that's the first reaction over here, that they have taken 4NH3 plus 3O2 giving you 2N2 plus 6H2O. So this is the reaction over here. Now this one is just burning of ammonia in oxygen. So it's just a simple thing that you are taking a glass chamber, and in this we are taking two tubes. One is this one, another is this one, the two tubes over here, and from here this one you are going to take ammonia NH3, and this one will be O2. So there will be a cotton wool over here, and then there will be this tube goes inside, and you are going to ignite this particular thing. So it will be burning. Now burning of this will be with a greenish yellow flame. So here the flame will be greenish yellow. So that's the thing. So yes, we can use a color. This is greenish color. So greenish color, a green flame or a greenish yellow flame will be seen. So main thing is that ammonia burns in presence of oxygen with a greenish yellow flame. That's the observation of this thing. What you get is nitrogen gas and water as the end results. So that was the thing. Observation was dry ammonia gas passed through the ignition tube A and ignited alone does not burn. So alone it does not burn, but when it ignited with oxygen. So after passing oxygen, ammonia burns in atmosphere of excess oxygen with a green or greenish yellow flame forming nitrogen and water. So when you are using only ammonia, if this oxygen was not given, then it does not burn. But if you are taking ammonia with oxygen, it burns with a greenish yellow flame to give you nitrogen and water. In the same process, in the similar one, if you are going to take the other thing, as you are taking two gases in this manner, that you are taking over here, the first part is oxygen O2, and from here you are taking NH3, and you are passing these into a combustion chamber containing catalyst, which is platinum. So platinum catalyst is taken over here, and then you are allowing it to come outside. You will see that it is going to come into a flask over here, and the flask will be getting reddish brown. Okay, this will be the gas which will be given out, which will be reddish brown in color, and yeah, O2 will also be given to you. So this is the reaction over here, that 4NH3 plus 5O2 in the presence of platinum and at a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is catalytic oxidation of ammonia. It gives me 4NO plus 6H2O plus a good amount of heat. So this is called as catalytic oxidation of ammonia. And this catalytic oxidation of ammonia is used in the manufacturing of nitric acid. So that's why this reaction is also important in terms of nitric acid. We are going to have this reaction in nitric acid also. So yeah, it is the starting reaction for osmosis process, manufacturing of nitric acid also. So that is 4NH3 plus 5O2 giving me under presence of platinum and 800 degrees Celsius. So yes, we are going to heat this thing. So heating is going to be taking place over here. So nitrogen from one side, oxygen from other side, combining together in the catalytic chamber, in this particular catalytic chamber, which contains platinum as a catalyst at 800 degrees Celsius. It is going to give me NO plus H2O. So this NO, now what happens is the oxygen which is coming over here, this NO is further going to be oxidized and it is going to be 2NO plus O2 giving me NO2. The formation of NO2 is going to take place. So this formation of NO2 over here, so it will be 2NO2 formation over here, which is going to give you the reddish brown color in the flask. So okay, so pass dry ammonia and oxygen gas through inlets A and B respectively in ratio 1:2. The ammonia oxygen mixture passes through overheated platinum placed in the combustion tube, which is the heated state, emits a reddish glow. Okay, there will be a reddish glow on the platinum. Observation: the colorless nitric oxide formed on oxidation gives reddish brown nitrogen oxide in the flask C, that is 2NO plus O2 giving me 2NO2. The platinum catalyst continues to glow even after the heating is discontinued, since the catalytic oxidation of ammonia is an exothermic reaction. So because this reaction is an exothermic reaction, that's why even if you stop the heating over here, if you stop the heating, still it will keep on glowing. The glowing is there because it is going to give you a good amount of heat over here. The heat which is given over here is going to make this platinum glow even when the burning has been stopped. So this was the catalytic oxidation of ammonia. That was the first kind of the thing, that ammonia gas and this combustibility. The next thing is ammonia gas and its basic nature. So we have got the different kinds of things in that. So that we'll take up in the next video.